today we have a Mantis rototiller 2-cycle that has a few problems. That's a problem. Don't really care too much about that though. Has a stock carb on there, but the primer bulb is completely just disgusting. The fuel lines are hard, and yeah, pull cord seems to be fine. There we go. Definitely has compression, so we are pretty much good to go. The throttle isn't stuck or anything, so we just have a simple, it sat around too long and someone tried to use it and it broke the pull cord, or it broke the primer bulb, because they're not, no matter how much they prime, they're not going to be able to do anything. So what we're going to do is install a new carb. Why would you replace it instead of rebuilding it? Excuse me. There's lots of answers for that. The easiest one being it's easier, and wow, that was like packed. It's also wet. Anyway, in addition to it being easier, the carb kit for this, it's almost the price as an aftermarket carb. Now, the aftermarket carb's good. Not really. Will get the job done pretty much the same same way that the the OEM will. Yeah, as long as you get a fairly decent aftermarket one, don't get the cheapest one you could possibly find, but as long as you get a decent aftermarket one, you'll never notice a difference. Yeah, you might have to go through a couple of them because you get like the wrong one, or one made either on a Monday or Friday, potentially even a Thursday. You really want the Wednesdays and Tuesday carbs. Anyway, we even have, there's so much dirt on here. We have plants growing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I kept pulling on that, the line would just break. But we have both a new fuel line and new fuel grommet, so we don't need this. In fact, we don't want this anymore. We're going to take it off. This is the same as an Echo, by the way. There we go. And that goes in the trash. Sometimes, however, when you get these aftermarket kits, the grommet is the wrong size, so beware of that. The fuel tank, I believe, is empty. Let's double check that. Actually, no, I can see the fuel in it already. So, oh yeah, that's disgusting. I'm gonna empty that out real quick. See that? Those little bubbles in there? Gasoline shouldn't have bubbles. It's not a package. That's water. I don't know if that just dripped off the side. I don't think so. It's wet, but it's not that wet. So I think that was in the tank. You can try to install this like that. I don't like doing that. The reason why I don't like doing that is it's very difficult. And it's pretty easy to just take out the breather and the return line. Only have the fuel line. Put the fuel line in. Make it easier on ourselves. Just kind of coat it with a little bit of WD or whatever your lubricant of choice is. Now you want to take a flathead or something that you're not going to damage, kind of press it in. This can be a tad on the annoying side. The important part is you don't want to puncture or damage this at all. Once you get it, all of it in, there we go. Okay. A little bit more. And the empty holes. We're going to take our excess line, we're going to cut so it's like an angle, like that. And that is going to make installing it back in a whole lot easier. It doesn't have to go in very, like a huge amount. And then the same for this one. This one's probably going to be a little harder because there's the other line in there. There we go. And at this point, let me grab some needle nose. Pull. There we go. When you install them, you do want to make sure that you remember the orientation of the lines. This is the line with the filter. This is the return. That's going to be important right now. So on the carb, that is the return. It's closest to the primer bulb. Down here is the mechanism that's used to kind of move fuel around. So that's going to be where they get the fuel. So that goes to the fuel filter, that goes to the return, and we don't have to worry. Is there a gasket? I think we threw the old gasket away that got stuck to the carb. Not a problem. They will give us a new one. Just clean the surface though. You don't want dirt inside the intake at all. I think I see a little speck of dirt there. I did, okay. Which brings us to the next point. So this is the part of the carb that is going to touch the actual intake. Now if you look at it, there's a hole there. That hole is very important and does not get blocked off. When you get this kit, you get two of these carb, or these two of these gaskets. If you see that hole, the gasket does not match at all. So that's not the right one. This one, however, has 4 holes, and if you put it on, one of them is going to match with that hole. That's very important, because if you do not get that hole right, then it was not going to run. That is the hole that is used to kind of operate the fuel pump mechanism. It needs a pulse from the engine to do its business. So I put the gasket on, see the hole, should be good to go. Not going to do the fuel lines quite yet. And there we have it. You don't really need to, put so much strength into tightening this, but you do want it to be secure. You don't need to hulk it out, because if you did, you won't be able to operate the choke, at least not very easily. So now we have that done. The fuel line situation is a tad more difficult. I'm going to, because I'm not going to really be able to show you much of anything, I'm just going to install the fuel lines, and then we'll install the rest of it. Got it all done. Something to mention, or of note to mention, is that you do not want to kink the lines at all. This should be very free and easy to move. There shouldn't be any blockages at all. If there is, you are going to have either a flooding problem or a no fuel problem. And the other gasket I put in between the plate and the carburetor. So now we need to take this. Let's get you a better angle. You see how that just kind of wants to slide in there, but it's a tad bit too, there we go. Probably want to adjust that a little bit, to be honest, because that seems like it's going to be falling off pretty easily. To adjust that, we need to, in fact, it kind of looks like it's already been adjusted a little bit, but we need to adjust these to 10 millimeters. At least I hope it's a 10 millimeter. That's what I brought. We're going to want to move this out. There we go. I think that should be pretty good. We could move it a little bit more. In fact, let's probably do that. You don't want to extend it so much where you're actually not able to idle, or if you are, the cable or the throttle cable is already putting tension on it, and you are causing there to be problems. I'm not sure why this recoil is not fully planted, but we have that taken care of now. And then last part, we want to put on the air filter. We can kind of shove the air filter inside. You can put oil on that too, just a little bit though. It's not really meant for it, but you can if you want to go above and beyond. Okay, the benefit of having an aftermarket carb is the adjustment screws are fully accessible now. So let's see how well we did. There's a primer bulb. I put fuel in there. Let's give it a couple primes and see if it's going to suck fuel up. It is empty, so it's going to take a little bit of time. There we go. And new carbs like this, you probably would expect the bulb to get like 3/4 of the way full. There we go. I think we're pretty set. Now we can give it a pull. Unfortunately, due to how this is set up and the engine and the handle, I don't really have a great way of starting it on the table, except for putting it about an inch or so away from the end, and hopefully the blades don't touch the end. But we have it on choke. More likely than not, we are gonna have to tune it. I'm not gonna really explain all that much, except I will grab this and this, so excuse me. There we go. And so don't expect it to be running perfect. Now, sometimes it will. That's a very good possibility. If you got one specific for this machine, technically it should be tuned. I find that to be pretty rare, because a tuning for this machine in, you know, the mountains of Colorado is going to be different than, you know, Death Valley. The air is just different there. It's a different elevation, so you're never going to have one that's perfect for your area. So if you're going to install a new carb, check out my video on how to adjust a 2-cycle, or how to adjust your carburetor, really. So let's give it a pull, see what happens. Make sure it's on. It is. Burped a little bit. That's good. This is normal. I can stop it with my hand. As you can tell, it probably was meant to run in the highlands of Colorado based on how much smoke came out of that muffler, but it is running. So why do I just replace the carbs on this one? Like I said, it's very inexpensive. These carbs are very small. They're very easy to gum up. The carb kits are just as expensive as a aftermarket carb, but they seem to run pretty decent. And if just a sheer amount of time you're gonna save. If I wasn't filming this, I could get this done in 5 minutes. So, you know, that's important to me. I don't know how important it is to you, but also in addition to that, that air filter that I took off was completely trashed, and the carb kit, or the new carb I got, comes with a new filter, so that saves me money already. So mainly just for cost savings. I don't want to sound that person, but cost savings are really important in these type of things, because if you're going to buy an OEM carb, it's going to be expensive. The person that wants this, they don't care. I always ask, but just give them the option. And if they want to spend $60-80 for OEM carb, or want to spend the same amount of money and have to pay me more to redo the carb, you know, give them that option. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this carb tuned and show you what it looks like afterwards. Hey, guess what? I had an epiphany, and I found out I could just put it like this. I don't have to have it dangling over here and having a potential accident on my hands. Anyway, so runs pretty good. I closed the garage for the evening, so I'm not gonna run it for too long, but just listen to this real quick. I probably shouldn't even be running it, but you know what? Live dangerously. Like I said, I don't want to run it too long, but it revs up just fine. I tuned it and I had to go do a quick errand, so that's why I had to leave. But the engine's a little cold. Runs good now. Carb replaced, new air filter. I did actually put a new plug in there. In the meantime, it came with the kit, and it wasn't a horrible one, so at least I'm hoping it's not. So I put it in there. Why not, you know? Live dangerously. So if you are having the same problem, this is a good cheap alternative. Definitely take it in consideration. I will say this though, if you do buy it on Amazon or eBay or anything, make sure you can return it, because like I said, if you get them when they're made on a certain time, sometimes they are a little fussy and you can't really adjust them. I, for instance, when I bought this one, bought two, and I didn't have to use a second one, so that's good. So maybe this one time I'll be able to use a second one for something else. That would be great. But if I do run into a problem, I will have a second one I could just put on there and return the bad one. That's just my preference on how I like to take care of it. So if you Like what you see, keep watching, definitely subscribe. I will keep posting, and I will see you in the next video. Put a thumbs up if this helped you, and follow me on Instagram at smallengine101. I'll catch you later. Have a good night.